I've got the fabric shrunk to where I'm pretty happy with it. The next step, because the fabric can move against these ribs and things, it can find its own happy spot, which hopefully it has done. The next step is I've taken my little soldering iron and rounded the tip up so that it's pointy. I can then go and this fabric burns like crazy. You can burn through it in just less than a second, probably, just doink, doink. And there's our holes. I then went with a pencil and made sort of a line of best fit on these holes that I just made. Yeah, so that's more or less about the best fit I could get. It's not going to be straight. You know, in an ideal world, it'd be absolutely perfectly straight. But no, it isn't. Like I say, this is pretty good. But the longer ones will probably, drift away from that a bit. I then went with my trusty rule, because the next thing I want to do is rivet on a piece of half-inch tape, which is what I've done here. But we're working on this rib right now. So I've gone along and measured off a 1/4 inch just to one side of that nice straight line I've drawn. Because the tape's 1/2 inch wide, the other side of the tape has no option but to be in the right place. I then took some of my tape, which comes on a roll like this, which is the reinforcing tape, which is where the wheels fell off previously, where I was using the reinforcing tape as anti-chafing tape. Now, anti-chafing tape goes underneath the fabric and stops the fabric from chafing on sharp edges, which is what, can you see me there? Yes, which is what I've got here. This tape is anti-chafing tape. This one's not. This is reinforcing tape. This spreads the load from the fabric to the rivet better than the fabric can do. Yeah, so that piece of tape, I'll peel the backing off shortly and it'll be glued on right here. I want it to go from a very sort of exact spot on this end to a fairly similarly exact spot on the other end. The other, somebody else did the fabric work on this Renegade, and I don't really like the way they've done it. Not that I'm an expert, but if there is such a thing as an expert, then I'm about as far away from it as you can possibly get. But what they did is they used relatively small pieces of tape, and they just sort of put them, maybe over a couple of holes or something like that, and you can see it through the paintwork, and it doesn't sort of impress me very much. So what will actually happen here is this will get glued on, then the trusty soldering iron will come out again and do the holes. The reason I did these holes now, before I glue this on, is because I'm afraid that they might disappear altogether. Yeah, if I were to glue that on and there weren't any holes through the fabric, I envisage that I might have a difficult time trying to find the hole in the rib through the fabric, through this fabric, Yeah, it might just be a little bit too much to ask. So I put the holes in here first, then glue that on, then put another set of holes to line up with those, then get the rivets out and rivet it on. But it doesn't end there. Yeah. Then to protect this piece of tape and to further spread the load to even more fabric, is you use this tape, this fabric tape, and it'll go over the top of both. But this time, it'll run the full length. It'll go right down to the rib at the other end of the wing there, at the trailing edge. So it'll go along that full length. And it'll be glued down as well. So, you know, it's going to be as strong as can be once I've sort of done that. But that's so that's the work for this morning, is to go along and try and find the line of best fit, then cut pieces of reinforcing tape, stick that down with its own self-adhesive backing, then drill the holes through, or melt the holes through this tape, and then put the big-headed aluminium rivets in to hold the whole shoot and match together, which I think you can see, which is these ones here. They've already been done. The next step here is to put this tape over. Now, what I could have done, and probably should have done, is put another mark. Where are we? I'm pointing you in the wrong direction now. What I should have done is put another mark here. This is 1.5 inches, so 3/4 of an inch from the centre line out to here, so that I can line this up when I roll it out. Matter of fact, in this particular case, I might put a mark either side, a line either side, and because this is a bit difficult. Sometimes you can see one side or the other, just to get it extra sort of perfect. So anyway, that's my task for this morning. Not very exciting to watch it on it. None of my videos are all that exciting. You've got to, I describe it as like mining, where you've got to move a hell of a lot of dirt to find one gem. You know, there's not there's not a lot of gems in what I do. But if you're looking for that one particular type of gem, then it's probably a good thing. But anyway, that's it. That's where we're going. So next time you see this, it'll probably be done. The other wing, I last night, you might have just seen it before when I panned up there. There's the other wing over there. It's mounted on a set of these trestles, the same as this wing, and this afternoon I'll try and get it up to the same as this. So it'll, you know, step one is to shrink the fabric with the hot iron and do all the things that I've already shown you that I've got to do on this wing. I've had a slight change of plan. Just before I move on, I've glued the piece of 1/2 inch reinforcing tape. I've plugged the soldering iron in. Let's just have a look at melting some of these holes. Yeah, the tape's the right length and everything. It's pretty much where I want it. But all you've got to do is just touch where you want to go. And look at that, straight through. Yeah, so you don't accidentally sort of, you know, you've got to be a bit careful, or you wind up with holes all over the place where you don't want them. There you go, simple as that. It's really quick and and relatively easy to do. Matter of fact, I'll put the soldering iron down and maybe put a couple of rivets in. There you go. There's these rivets are super duper easy to pull. They don't put up any resistance at all, virtually, and they weigh almost nothing. They're very, very light indeed. But yeah, yeah, there we go, just tape. I'll start it about here, and I'll take it right the way through to the trailing edge, I think, rather than go from here to there and then another one from there down. You don't really need it on this at all. This is the fuel tank, the bottom of the fuel tank. But no, I want the tapes to be virtually as straight as I can get them, and as full length as I can get them. But yeah, they'll start about here, and when the 2-inch, this is 1.5-inch tape, when I put the 2-inch tape on, it'll go here and cover the end of them. The end of this tape will be down here somewhere. The objective being that you shouldn't have your tape facing into the airflow, because if, like this one for instance, if that were to lift up, it'll wind up ripping the whole lot off. Well, it can't because it's got rivets, but if it's this tape, yes, it could. So you put it here and then you put the 2-inch tape over the top of it so it can't lift. Or if it does, it'll only lift a little bit, and then the tape is running the wrong way. So no, it's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Okay, a little bit further advanced. I've drawn these lines on the ribs, or next to the ribs. There's should be 3 lines or 4 lines. One's where the fabric will go, or one each side, and one each side where the reinforcing tape will go. I've started gluing them on. I'll continue with that, and let's see where we go. There you go. Well, we're getting towards the end of the day, and we'll just do a little bit of a catch-up on where we are at the moment. So I've installed the reinforcing tapes, like these. I've riveted the tapes to the ribs underneath. I've marked these lines either side of the tape, and I'll show you that when I get around the other side. Okay, don't panic about this one, because this gets cut out, remember? This whole panel gets cut out. But I did mark it. I probably will cut on that line and fold that under. This one's not riveted because it gets riveted on with the wingtip, and I haven't put the reinforcing tape either. The fiberglass wingtip is the reinforcement. Over here, along the trailing edge, the back of the wing, not the trailing edge, I've marked midway between the 2 ribs, and in a straight line. Let's see, with the intention of installing these little plastic washers. They're our drain holes. So yeah, so he gets glued on directly to the fabric like that, and then these little doilies, which I've made several of them, it'll get glued on straight over the top and glued down to the fabric. I've put them there. You know, we're highly unlikely to get free water in there. It's more to vent the area. To put the inspection hatches in, it's going to have to go there somewhere. So yeah, the reason for that is so that I can get access to this bolt. This is the aileron pivot bolt. And yeah, I can get access to this side of it through a tiny little hole in the aileron. But to get to the other end to stop the bolt from turning, I need to put this in there. I've made a little doily to go around this rear spar attach point. It'll go on whichever way is best, I guess. But yeah, that'll neaten this up, which looks pretty poxy right now, but it'll neaten that up, and I'll trim the hair off first. Over here on the fuel line, I've made another doily, or a couple of them. I've made one for the other wing as well while I was going, so at least I'll have them the same. It'll sit on there like that, and then get glued down. And same deal, I'll probably run the tape across the top of it, down the 1.5-inch tape. I will run the tapes across the fuel tank and onto the leading edge. This point over here, this one, will probably have one of these rings as well. I'll probably install that, but it doesn't get a cover. It'll be just open. On these later kits, this is the main spar attach point to the cabane. Is what's underneath that fabric, and there's just a little bit of a bulge. So I've got to find the centre, which is about here somewhere, and I'll glue this more or less in the middle. What they previously had was this arrangement here. That wing is virtually the same, except these pieces, these attach brackets, are up in the wing. So that hole will be cut around here somewhere, and it'll be left open. That's how my other Renegade is. So yeah, the back one's the same. The rear attach point is the same as that. Yeah, it looks like they didn't put a doily. These little plastic washers, they just sort of glued them on. They didn't put a doily over the top. You know, this aeroplane was built at the factory, probably as a demonstrator or something. Was brought to Australia way back, probably 25 or 30 years ago. But yeah, factory can't afford to dick around and make little doilies for that so it looks pretty and all the rest. But I can, and I guess you can as well. No progress has been made on this wing. I've got the fabric, attached all the way around the perimeter, but it needs to be laid on its back, or laid so that with the fabric up, so that I can shrink the fabric, and I just simply haven't done that yet. You saw hopefully by now you will have seen the other video of how to shrink that fabric. It's pretty quick, it's reasonably quick, and really, really satisfying. It's a really satisfying job. So that's it. Well, here we are, back again. This is the lower side of each of the upper wings. This is the bottom of each of the upper wings. The reinforcing tapes have been installed. The fabric has been installed and shrunk one time. It actually gets shrunk 3 times, but I've done it the first shrink. Before I shrink it any further, I'll actually turn the wing over and install the other fabric on the other side. So today's task, I want to whether it's right, wrong, or indifferent, I don't have a clue. I'm making it up as I go. You can probably picked up on that already. If you haven't, then you're not very astute. But these reinforcing tapes, I want to put glue on them and glue them to the fabric, which they are with their own self-adhesive, and then I want to glue the fabric to the rib, which is underneath there. So that's today's task, is to run. I don't want to glue out here. That's where the tapes are going to go over the top. That's this type of tape. Yeah, it's pinked 1.5-inch tape. It'll get rolled out and go across the top to cover the whole thing. But for starters, I want to glue this to the structure beneath. Okay, let's make a start. We've got our Eco Bond, our glue, basically. I've got my cup mounted on its plate. We'll put about, I don't know, 1/2 inch or so in the bottom of the cup. This Eco Bond seems to go a long way. You know, it's fairly economical. So we'll stick some in there. That's probably at least more than I needed, but anyway. Now, alrighty, this is the piece of reinforcing that we're going to do for starters. It's a practice. I've got one of my small paintbrushes from the $2 shop, and we'll put some Eco Bond here. So that's wicking through really quite nicely, really nicely. We'll do a couple of runs down here somewhere. Now, I've also got my paper towel that I've laboriously cut into 4-inch squares. I just fold it over like that. Now, like I've said before a million times, I'm trying to rub the glue through the tape. I'm not trying to rub it off, although it does come off. I'm trying to rub it in. Yeah, like that. So it's rubbing it through the tape and eventually right down to the rib underneath. A little bit of spillage there, that doesn't matter. That'll get covered up. Look at that, absolutely glorious. And then we throw the bit of paper away. So I go through loads of this paper. Yep. And we'll do another couple. Matter of fact, I might do the rest of it. That went so well. Down there. I'm also doing each side of the rivet as well, I don't know. Might as well. Now, so there, we've got it on. Now we wipe it in. Look at that. Oh, this is way sort of easier than I expected. I thought it would have put up a bit more. I thought it would have put up much more of a fight. And there it is. Most of the glue's wiped back off again. There's only a very small amount in there. And I guarantee that will have gone through the reinforcing tape, through the fabric, and onto the rib. Yeah, so I'll leave you at that, and well, actually, yeah, you can watch. And did you see the colour change when I wipe the glue in? The colour changes from that green colour to, or a blue colour to a really light green. Look at that. All right. We've got I've got all the reinforcing tapes on this wing. I'm about to go and do a repeat on this wing, and then we'll look at attaching some of those other components. Actually, no. Actually, before I get too carried away, I want to mark where the drains are going to go on this wing. I've marked this wing, but I haven't done this one, so I'll just go ahead and do that first. Stand by. I want them in a straight line. I don't want higgly-piggly, guesstimation where the drains are going to go. They've got to be looking neat.